Gainesville city leaders are under fire after state representatives say they need to take action on GRU's debt or they'll be removed from office. TV 20's Taylor Simpson tells us why residents say change is needed.
An audit shows that GRU is $1.7 billion in debt, and some people say that's the reason why the city keeps raising rates. State lawmakers who were a part of the Joint Legislative Auditing Committee expressed their concerns to Gainesville city leaders. They say the commission needs to immediately reduce debt of GRU or they may be removed from office.
We got generations, people who've never lived here before. We have kids who are in school that are going to be paying these debts.
An audit found 18 different issues, including debt levels being significantly higher than comparable municipal utilities. And the city did not have a reasonable explanation to take money from the general fund transfer from GRU and put it in the city's general fund.
The whole city is going to come crashing down. You're definitely giving too much from GRU to the city, and then they're providing all these massive projects.
Most of GRU's debt is from a biomass plant that was built and has been costing the city ever since.
We've inherited the biomass debt, and it's our responsibility to now tackle it, reduce the debt, and still maintain a quality service for our customers.
Castile and other residents are hoping the move causes utility rates to drop.
Getting 3 bills all at once, or they're getting a bill and then turning around and getting another bill on top of it, and they only have 2 days to pay the one bill.
Mayor Harvey Ward says the commission will have a plan in place to fix the debt.
Yes, we hear you. I hear you. I assume they're watching at home. Okay. And I believe we can have a plan to you for the next fiscal year.
The committee says if this doesn't happen, they'll write letters to the governor to remove them from office. Taylor Simpson, TV 20 News.
One of the